I'm afraid I can't do that, Hal. Dave, cake. So before we went live, they quizzed me in a green room. They're like, JN, you never seen 2001: A Space Odyssey? I guess you know the answer. As I messed up the quote, you have to take away my nerd card. Hello, welcome back to Pencil to Pencil. You know what is going on when you see these three smiling angelic countenances on your video scope? We're back in the pipe 5x5. I got that one right. As I've seen Aliens 9,000 times. Guys, you're in for a treat, and you're about to be ensorcelled by your favorite Wednesday program. It's Pinch Me, I Must Be Dreaming time. Let's get to it. Guys, let's do some introductions. My name is Jamar Nicholas. I'm your first host, but not the last. And I wear many hats. I am on the board of the National Cartoonist Society. I will tell you right now, I just returned from Chicago, Illinois, from the American Library Association, where we saw, we cartooned. The NCS held it down at ALA, and it was wonderful. Also, I'm the Philadelphia chapter chair. Also, I have a book coming out in January, Leon and the Big Problem with my Scholastic Graphics. Next book in my series. Steve, what should they do about that?
But why don't you?
Why don't you? Why don't you? But guys, I would be remiss if I did not introduce my cohort, co-conquistador, co-conspirator. You may have splashed him with water on your drive down the internet superhighway. You might have seen him walking through the gully. What is it? Like, you know, that little piece on the side of the road, the gulch, the gully, the creek, wherever you're from. But please, if you hold anything dear, do not make him angry. He's your friend and mine. By God, it must be Stone Cold Steve Conley. What's up, Steve Conley?
Gentlemen,
yes.
It's so good to see you.
Yes.
I love the reports from ALA. That was fantastic. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to more photos. I want to have to live vicariously through your adventures, Jamar. So I really appreciate that.
Appreciate you.
My name is Steve Conley. I draw your 37th favorite webcomic, The Middle Age, which you can find over at middleagecomic.com. It's on the Webtoons tab as Go Comics, pretty much everywhere you point your browser at. And I also make TTRPG stuff, including the brand new, hot off the presses, Stabracadabra.
Hold it up again, Steve. Hold it up. Wow, it's out.
In all its shiny hardcover glory. The printer did a fantastic job. Thank you, Mixum. I would be remiss if I didn't introduce the Tower of Power, the Man of the Hour, Too Sweet to Be Sour, the Maestro of Mark Making. What else? He's the magnificent, the marvelous, mercurial, the razzle dazzle raconteur, Mr. Mike Manley.
Hello, everyone from behind the blue.
All right, we got you. We can see you now.
Links, the blue wall of links, hope everyone is surviving the heat bubble, blazing heat bubble.
It is very hot. Now, it's funny, Mr. Manley, that here in Pennsylvania, we have what they call 7 seasons. And I think we just kind of fell right out of fall, spring, right in the summer.
Yeah, it was kind of nice the last. Well, we did have that. What was it in April? We had that day where it was that couple of days where it was like in the 90s. It just like blew up really crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just saw something on, what was it, Facebook. One of the local weather guys said in like 1966 or 67, and then like 1993, and like now, same time, same, you know, blazing heat.
It's really interesting how long they've been documenting just like what is the temperature today, and then kind of like finding that math in the middle. That's interesting.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to put my air conditioner in tomorrow.
Wait, you haven't put your air in yet?
No, I have the one in my bedroom.
Oh!
Which, you know, keeps it, if it's a warm day or whatever, that's fine. But now when it's going to be like 100 degrees, yeah, I got to put the other one in. So
are you like that with the heat Like when it's cold out, you're like, oh, it's only 40 degrees. I can stand to not throw a log in the furnace in the fire yet.
Well, I mean, I have oil heat, which is very expensive now. Of course, all heat is expensive, but actually, electric heat is probably cheaper than oil heat now. So I would get myself a little, one of those little rotating space.
Oh yeah, like the little ceramic space heater.
Yeah, and I would run that. I don't want it to be blazing hot. But I also don't want it to be blazing hot in the winter, and I don't want it to be. It's actually worse in the summer because your arm sticks to your.
Yeah, I don't know how you deal with that. Yeah,
your arm sticks to your tablet, and the computer does not like being hot.
No. Steve, have you or Mike had any kind of like heat related tech problems in your studios?
No, I don't go outside after like 10 a.m. and or between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. No, that's no go zone. I keep the blinds closed. I'm getting paler. It's perfect.
Like hanging upside down in the closet.
Just
like,
sickly. Yeah, I want to be. Next time you see me, I'm just gray.
The gray skin of an alien. You know that you're very successful as an artist.
That's so funny. But like, I know that, and I was just talking about this on one of my other JNN Jamar Nicholas Network programs about how, I don't know about you, but like our power goes out intermittently these days. Ooh. Like with all the storms too, right? I can count almost in the last 5 years, our power's going out at least once every season. Either for a storm or whatever, somebody sneezed too hard and a transformer blew. It just seems to be happening more.
For how long does it go out?
Well, last summer, I think I remember I was about to come to your apartment, Steve, because I was just like, I got to get out here. Our power was out for 5 days.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's you're kind of pushing it. I was cool up to day 4. Day 5 was like, okay.
Yeah. Day 5, the Revenant.
Yeah, I started like hallucinating that Michael Landon was outside on a horse-drawn wagon. It was bad. We're about to go back to the essence.
Yeah. I lost a little work. Was it last? My power just goes out randomly. Usually,
you get the blips.
I just get that blip. Like it could happen now, or it could happen. It usually seems to happen in the morning. I'm just sitting here. It'll go out. 2 minutes later, bleep, everything comes back on.
Yeah, that's not a good look.
Yeah, I don't know if it's, if some transformer blew somewhere in the area. It never used to do that, but starting about 10 years ago, it's a fairly regular occurrence that it happens in this area. Mm-hmm. I would say like once a month. Like you'll wake up and like your microwave says power failure.
Yeah. And as we do these days, most of us work digitally. So like, are you saving early and more often? Do you just turn all your stuff off when there's a lightning storm? I know I've unplugged my iMac when it's like really coming down.
Yeah, the serious hardware I'll unplug, but iPads, I just unplug it and keep working.
Keep working.
I need to get a new backup battery. I had one, but those things only last a few years and then they die, and you got to buy another one.
I'm going to ask the chat. Hey, chat, how is your power sitch? And while they answer that, guys, we have a really exciting episode for you. And I'm very proud to say that even with some kind of like periods where one of the 3 of us haven't been available, we have brought pencil to pencil to your video scope. For what? Like, I don't think we've been off since like maybe last year sometime. We've nailed it. Yeah. And I think we deserve flowers for that. But I would like to talk a little bit. Let me clear this stuff because I'm bad. I'm a bad producer off the couch. I would like to give a shout out to our special guest, Marty Baumann, who was here tonight. I'm very excited to learn more about Marty. As we all know, Marty Baumann is the world's most dynamic graphic artist. You can't go wrong with that. So I would love if Steve, would you like to give Marty a little
Yeah,
talk?
I have 3 decades of experience telling everyone how amazing Marty is. So I'm happy to do that now. Marty's one of my favorite, not only creators, but people in the world. He has done work for Pixar and Disney, and you may not know this, but you've seen his work. I mean, when you were laughing at those sloths in Zootopia, when the funniest scene in the movie, when you're laughing at that, everything in that environment had Marty's stamp on it somewhere. You've seen his work, you may not know it. You've been to Radiator Springs in Disneyland. You've seen Marty's work. He's amazing. He's a great cartoonist. He's a great designer, typographer, and the fastest cartoonist I know. They every year the Baltimore Comic Con has their yearbook, and I think by the time he receives it, they get like an automatic reply of "Here's the finished piece."
It's automatic.
It's amazing. So yeah, I'm excited to have Marty here. I know he's dipped in and watched the show from time to time, so it's great to have him here.
All right. Well, thanks for that, Steve. And I don't want to waste any more time. Chat, it's time to get active because it's spread across the land that the Pencil to Pencil chat is lousy with cartoonists. It's filthy with working cartoonists. So I'm sure you're going to have questions for Marty and you're going to want to keep rapt attention. So let's not waste any more time. Please welcome to Pencil to Pencil, Marty Baumann. Ping! Yes, it worked. You've been rendered. I've rendered you. Hey, Marty, how are you?
Didn't want to waste time.
we can't waste any more time. We need you on the screen. Hello. So, Steve, I'm gonna let you start, and I'm gonna clear the chat and get them going.
Marty, I'm so glad you're here. As you might have seen with some of our previous guests, what we'd like to start off with, if we can, a little bit of an origin story. If you want to start us off with how you got into comics, how you got into cartooning. I know that's kind of was a lot of a building block for a lot of the work that came later. So maybe if you kick off there.
Okay. My earliest influence, let's see. The first cartoonist to influence me was Otto Soglo.
Sure.
He was a cartoonist, contributed to the New Yorker in the 1920s and 30s. It was like very simple Art Deco cartoonist, and he did a comic strip called The Little King. And it was a Sunday strip. It was even a series of cartoons in the 40s.
Huh.
That's how popular he was, but I didn't know that. I was 4 or 5 years old, and back then the Little King strip took up like a third or a half of the broadsheet in the newspaper. Colors were simple, no dialogue. I was just drawn to it because, hey, I could do that. So Otto Soglo. He's more influential than you might think.
Huh.
Yeah, he's a big favorite of Sergio Aragonés.
Is that right?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah. Because it's pantomime. But
He
does a lot.
illustrated a lot of books by the New Yorker authors, the Algonquin Round Table guys and all that, George S. Kaufman and people like that. Anyway, I think I bored people enough with Otto Soglo. But yeah, it's the thing that influenced me most wasn't story. It wasn't really fine rendering or anatomy or anything. It was color. Little King, 2 colors, maybe 3, 4. And that's why I was drawn to early Marvel comics. Of course, I didn't know Jack Kirby's name at the time, but I knew that every panel was like being punched in the face. And beyond it was the color. It was the color of the costumes, which is why it's regrettable to me anyway to see all the superheroes they're putting in movies. They're dressed in leather, black leather. Captain America has like a 1930s football helmet on or something. I don't know. I guess, if that's your thing, that's cool. If it's an effort to make it more realistic, to seem more part of the real world, I don't know. But that's not why I was drawn to it. I mean, I love the Avengers because the colors, the colorful costumes, and that's what I was drawn to. Actually, an early artist I liked a lot was Marie Severin, because mid '60s they gave her a shot to draw the Hulk. The Hulk was big and green, and in some panels he had red eyes and he had purple pants. It was the color. Iron Man. I always bought Iron Man for the color.
Now, there was Stan Goldberg, I think, was the guy who originally came up with the original color schemes for the characters. Yeah. Yep.
Stan Goldberg. Later on, Marie Severin and Tom Palmer did some too.
Yeah.
That's another bit of housekeeping I should put up front. I'll be dropping lots of names to make myself seem more important than I am. So me and Tom Palmer were good friends, and he's the one that told me he kind of learned on the job, on the fly, hit the ground running or whatever. And what's the color palette that you're supposed to study in art school? Is it Munzer?
Yeah, he learned the Munsell system from Ken Riley.
Yes.
And so it had the hue, value, chroma.
Yeah.
Those were the three parts. So you could be, how warm or cool, how light or dark, or how intense the color was. And I believe when he studied with Ken Riley, and you can look it up online, the Munsell system is very interesting, but they had ways of guys would pre-mix paint in tubes, because Tom told me about that.
Yeah.
They would pre-mix tubes and they had like this color theory. So it's a very interesting way to deal with color. And he was a great colorist. He used the 64, used to be 64 colors plus K-tones, which were gray, like screen, like gray tones. So, and Neil Adams too. He was a very good colorist. And then was Jack Adler at DC was a really great. That's why DC had such good color. But yeah, I could see why you would be influenced by that stuff. It just grabs your eye.
And when the Batman TV show started, I wasn't crazy about the TV show, but the Batman trading cards came out. They're sketched by Bob Powell and they're painted by Norman Saunders, and the color blew me away. That's what I wanted. I've got a repro set and a few of the originals, but I must have had 2 of each when they came out. It was the color that just drew me in.
Did you know who George Saunders was?
Norman Saunders.
Norman Saunders, rather.
No.
He's the guy who painted all those great Phantom covers.
Oh my God. There was a director at Pixar, and that was his favorite artist, and he was shocked that I knew who Norman Saunders was. He said, well, he did this. I said, yeah, I know. He did this. And I said, yeah, I know. I said, and he did the Civil War cards. I don't know if anyone remembers those.
I don't think
it came out on the 100th anniversary of the Civil War, and the same thing, Bob Powell, Norman Saunders. And they were even more gruesome than the Mars Attacks cards.
Jeez.
I mean, guys get, bayonets going through guys, coming out the other end, cannons blowing man apart. It was called Civil War headlines, and the back of each card was like a newspaper from the 1860s, sort of. Just
what you love as a kid, right? You know, people war and people getting gored and blown apart. You know,
that reminds me that's such a big thing with artists and creative folk who the first time they interact with somebody and they mention someone who they don't think anyone else has heard of, that is like such a bonding moment. I think when I first met Marty, I was saying, he said like, okay, you like comics? I'm like, I was, I don't know, 20, something like that. And he said, like, who do you like? I'm like, well, Wally Wood's my favorite. And I think at that point, Marty and I were friends.
Yeah.
I think that was like, yeah, okay. You know who everyone should know, like Norman Saunders. So when you had the little king, were you drawing then? Were you had your sketch pad next to the newspaper while you were drawing?
Crayons. I loved coloring books. Yeah, back coloring books mostly about World War II. And I was a kid. My favorite actor when I was a kid was Clint Walker.
Hmm.
And I'm sure that, by the way, anybody under 50 won't have any idea what I'm talking about throughout this show. So anyway, keep Google handy. But
everyone's taking notes.
There was a movie where Clint Walker played a Marine, None But the Brave. Only movie directed by Frank Sinatra. That's trivia. But never mind. When the theater saw it, Clint Walker was a Marine, and the Marines wearing these aquamarine colored T-shirts. I thought, man, what a cool color that is. And I went through my Crayola box, you know, and tried to find one that would match, and got out my World War II coloring books. And, you know, I could never, and I remember getting so frustrated that I couldn't get the color to come out even with a crayon. So you're going up and down and diagonally, and never mind. But yeah, color was my thing, and the Hulk, I guess, was the first superhero I really dug. Here, I'm going to sound like Grandpa from The Simpsons. I hate everything but Matlock. But you know, we could have a drinking game. You take a shot every time I say, "Get off my lawn." How about that, old geezer?
No, Marty, you'll be surprised. We got a well-learned audience here.
But are they old? I mean, I'm sure they're smart.
Yeah, we make regular references to side quest drives, so I think you're
facsimile machines. Yeah.
But imagine me as a kid. I go into the drug fair where I buy all my comics, and there's a spinner rack. 6 covers are by Kirby, 4 are by Kubert. Then there's maybe 1 or 2 Archies and the Dell adaptation of 77 Sunset Strip, you know, and that was it. And it just spoiled for choice. It was amazing. And my dad had only given me 26 cents. So how do I decide? The first comic I remember buying faithfully was Sergeant Rock, Our Army of War, and any of the War That Time Forgot books.
Yeah, I mean, what's better, dinosaurs and war, right? The perfect combination. You know?
There's 2 Marines firing machine guns at a pterodactyl.
You can't beat that. Marty, I was just thinking, you know what? You can't even get 26 cents for 26 cents.
I know. That was 2 comics plus the Maryland sales tax at the time. There you go. You can get 2.
Who wants to explain what a penny is to people?
Exactly. Well, it's one of those things you put it in a machine at historic sites and stamp out a impression on it.
Oh, my God.
But I think everything goes in cycles, because being a kid in the 60s, I loved World War II, right? So I think that was, and there was a lot of World War II on TV and a lot of movies about World War II, right? And then that kind of faded out, and then it became like, you know, Vietnam or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether the kids today they're more independent in what they see, because we saw what the older generation watch. So we saw World War II movies, and we saw old people on, TV show. I mean, they put Jimmy Durante in he narrated the Frosty the Snowman. Like, no kid knew who Jimmy Durante was, but somebody knew who Jimmy Durante was, right? So
Well, my dad was pretty heroic in World War II, and that was a big.
oh, okay.
Of course, that was a big draw for me. Naturally, I wanted to. Well, my dad, he never mentioned fighting any dinosaurs, but he did shoot at Germans.
German dinosaurs.
Which, speaking of those books, let me ask you a question. Who's the best writer in comics of all time? This is my humble opinion, but I happen to know that I'm right.
You like Haney or Kanigher the best?
You got it. Kanigher. Any genre, any era. I just can't believe the stuff he put out. God.
He also had a great stable of people drawing his stories.
Oh my God, yes. Even I remember the Sergeant Rock story. It's here, Rock, you and Easy Company have to escort these 4 sharpshooters to this camp somewhere or another, and they don't tell him why. But of course, Rock is like, I kept my eye on these guys. And they come under attack and they dive into this abandoned house, and these 4 sharpshooters are cowering and screaming and running, and Sergeant Rock and his guys, of course, clean out the machine gun nest or whatever and move on. And when they get to their destination, the 4 sharpshooters are there to execute 3 guys for cowardice. They're the cowardly guys of the firing squad that have come to kill the 3 alleged cowards. Before they can ready aim fire, the Germans attack. So who saves the day? The 3 guys accused of cowardice.
The 3 cowards. Yeah.
Right.
That's an amazing story.
Yeah.
And it was like that every month.
Yeah. I think the most influential comic I remember as a kid was a comic on our Army at War. I talked about this before, that we bought in Canada when we went to the beach, and it was by Russ Heath.
Mm-hmm.
And it was them fighting German soldiers in the snow. Mm-hmm. And there's this kid who's wounded, and they had like the plasma bottle hanging on the rifle, and then it breaks and the blood's on. And he drew the snow by not drawing the snow. Mm-hmm. Right? He just used the white space, the negative space. I was probably like 10 or 11. That comic just mesmerized me because it really looked like snow, but he didn't draw any snow. He wasn't drawing lots of, I think that overall, the best line of comics ever. I know people like to talk about EC, but there's more good DC war comics than any other line of comics I think ever produced in America, as far as comic books.
Most consistent for sure.
Yeah, I mean, some of the stories were cheesy, but art-wise, I mean, if you got from the 50s to the 80s, you got 30 years of Kubert and
Heath and Esposito.
And all those guys. It's just
Grandinetti. Grandinetti, very underrated artist. Jerry Grandinetti.
Yeah.
Every cover is, if you wanted the whole story, you could just tear off the cover and take it home. I mean, what kid would not buy Sergeant Rock going over backwards in a Jeep, holding on to a machine gun, firing at 2 diving Stuka bombers who are coming right at him, while underneath them mines are going off? Holy cow. How about you might remember this cover, Mike. You 2 guys you can go somewhere else. Me and Mike are going to carry on. Okay. No, do you remember these? God, the covers are unbelievable. And I'd like to know if they were all Kubert's concepts or if Kanigher said this would be good or whatever. There was one, the whole cover was a plasma bottle hanging from a rifle.
That's the one I'm talking about.
The plasma bottle cover with
Yes.
the reflection in it?
That's
Oh,
the one.
right.
That's the issue I'm talking about.
Yeah, okay, yeah. That cover.
Box spaces in the plasma bottle. Yeah.
Oh, yes. God, I wish you could pull it up. But how about the one the whole foreground is a helmet with a giant hole in it.
Yeah.
Through the hole, you can see a German sniper off in the distance, or German soldier off in the distance, and scrawled on the helmet it says "Beware, sniper."
Yeah. Yeah.
And how could you not buy a Sergeant Rock comic called "The Nazi Ghost Wolf"? Come on, if you're not a red-blooded kid, if you could turn that down.
Yeah. I think kids would have a hard time relating to that though, because they are not exposed. You know, the Gulf War is not like World War II.
No, I know.
You know, so I don't think that they would look at it as, you know, I used to love to watch them with my dad, you know, Battle of the Bulge or The Dirty Dozen or whatever. But I don't think kids today would have they just wouldn't have the same, because they didn't grow up with it. You know what I mean? Like, I remember Combat on TV as a kid.
I mentioned Combat.
Yeah. And
See,
all that stuff. Yeah. You know, I loved that stuff as a kid.
Vic Morrow was my hero.
Yeah.
You know, not Rick Jason. If it was a Rick Jason episode, I could pass on it. Vic Morrow, God, he was just so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think that it would be very hard for, there you go. That's it.
Very good. Excellent. It's amazing. Well, you could pick any Sergeant Rock cover and it would blow you away. But isn't that something?
That's great. Thanks, Internet.
Thank you. Anyway, we got stuck in World War II. But yes, I know. I watched those movies with my father. My favorite comment of his, he was at the Battle of the Bulge. Had frostbite so bad they almost had to take his feet off. Then he took a German mortar shell to the back. So got shipped home. Yeah, he saved like 6 other guys by catching this mortar shell in his back. Anyway, I forget which movie it was, but there's always a scene where the soldiers stumble upon some Italian villa or something, and there's a wine cellar, and maybe a couple of Italian girls were left behind there, and they get drunk, and they're hooting and hollering. And my dad put his newspaper down and said, "Oh yeah, we did this every Saturday night." Anyway, okay. I'm sorry. I got way off of.
We got distracted. It happens. Yeah.
It's Manly's fault. It's not me. Okay. What
you're reading the comics. You're doing some coloring. How does that go? How does that become? How do you go from there to decide I want to be a cartoonist?
That's when I don't know what age I was really, but Kirby and Kubert were the first time I attached names to the artist.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I first began to, oh, that's by Jack Kirby, and that one's by Joe Kubert. I didn't know the others that well, but something made me want to copy Jack Kirby. He's one of the guys that saved my life. 2 guys saved my life: Jack Kirby and a guy named Hound Dog Taylor, a blues guitarist, who they both changed my life right around the same time. It was such an eye-opening experience to have both those things happen at once. But it was Kirby. I just started drawing him, and in elementary school, we brought our comics to school. I still have the drawing that got me kicked out of French class. I still have it for some reason. I mean, it's tattered and torn, but I still got it.
What was it?
By this time, I moved I adored Kirby, but then discovered Steranko.
Mhm.
So I wanted to do a graveyard scene the way Steranko had done in Shield #5 and in Captain America 113, like two of my favorite comics of all time. So I drew all these scraggly trees and a bunch of graves with fake names on it that I just made up. And there's a floating skull, and it said Hell's Call. And the teacher said, come up here and show me what you're working on.
That's real dark.
And go stand in the hall.
Oh,
It was about the end of it. But I didn't stop. There was one important distinction. My neighborhood was a Marvel neighborhood. Except for the war comics, nobody gave a darn about the DC superheroes. Because let's face it, the Marvel superheroes were a gang of guys like your friends, hanging out, picking on each other, and whereas the DC superhero line, well drawn as it was, well executed as it was, compared to the Marvel superheroes, it was really sterile.
yeah.
You had to draw on a house style, which is commendable. It's a brand. Not selling the artist in those days, you're selling a brand. And we always said Marvel comics are for kids, the DC comics are for children.
Wow.
I think that's really true. I mean, I heard that they even there were those same poses you'd always see Superman flying in the same poses, landing in the same poses, doing the same. They had like almost like a style sheet, whether it was Wayne Boring or Kurt Swan or whatever. But yeah, they were definitely comics that nobody would question. There was nothing questionable or lurid or anything in those. There was nothing ethnic either in any of those comics. So yeah, I mean, and I liked Superman as a kid. He was, but yeah, and Kurt Swan is a fine draftsman, but
Sure.
yeah, but they just, breaking your teeth on Lois Lane's biscuits, but what would always hit me as a kid is you would see those great Neil Adams covers, and then you would open the book, and there was nothing in the book that was as good as that cover.
But just before that, I mean, you're a 12-year-old kid, and you can buy the comic where Superman is being nagged by Mr. Mxyzptlk, or you can draw one where Kirby actually introduces God as the villain with Jesus on a surfboard. So I think I know which one I would buy. Not everybody.
No.
There were a lot of DC comics I dug, but those superheroes, they kept a really tight leash on.
Yeah.
And they were good. And the Gil Kane, Green Lanterns and Atom, and very well done. But Superman was like that was the jewel in the crown, and they weren't going to let anyone tamper with it.
So,
And in Kirby's work, where Al Plastino drew Superman heads over all his Superman figures. I understand why, but I thought we had moved on to a new era by the time that they were doing that. Let's see how Kirby would draw Superman. I think we could have done that, but I don't know.
So Marty, let me ask because I'm curious, and when we're doing the origin story, I always interrupt and kind of ask, what was your kind of like catalyst moment, or your jump off the cliff moment, or your this is going to happen and nothing's going to stop me moment, where you maybe started doing work for money, or you marched into an office with your portfolio under your arm? Like, what was your kind of foot in the door into the business?
Foot in the door. I mean, actually getting paid for drawing?
Sure, let's start there. Yeah.
That wasn't until I got into journalism, into newspapers. So that was a lot later.
Oh, okay. Let's talk about
Long before that, I was doing it for fun.
that. Mm-hmm.
I was trying to draw during the day. Well, I was drawing in the afternoon. I was playing music at night till 2 or 3 in the morning,
Mm.
and getting up at 6 and going to work at a freight yard unloading boxcars filled with toilet paper, and then, and then start over again. So I didn't get that much time to really draw
Mm-hmm.
until I actually got a job at local newspaper, and it was coincidentally it was the year Macs were introduced. And well, no, actually, I started before Macs were introduced because every map I drew, every graphic I did was electroset type, where I was rubbing down one letter at a time and trying to keep them straight. And instead of drawing roads with a pen, you use tape.
Right.
And make mechanicals for every graphic.
Nobody knows what the word is.
And then the map came along, and I was just, thank God. They were primitive, state of the art was super paint.
Mm.
Man.
I also think it's interesting that you had your passion for art, but you also had your passion for music.
Mm-hmm.
One didn't swamp the other, because that's usually what happens. I know a lot of people that, like my brother Dave, is a musician, but he used to also like to draw. But I think for him, the immediacy of music swamped whatever enjoyment he got drawing.
It does sometimes. I mean, I always loved both, but yeah, I can see that. But with me, it went back and forth. When it's play a series of bum gigs, one right after another to dead audiences, naturally, man, I wish I was home drawing. But if you're getting a great crowd reaction, yeah, this is where it's at. People love me. So, yeah, I can see that. It goes back and forth for me, but I can understand that the immediacy is a good word for it.
I think it's really interesting to have two passions, especially like in your formative teenage years, where it's not easy to balance things, so I find that very interesting, because I liked music, but I think I liked drawing more. It was almost like the reverse of my brother. I got the pleasure out of sitting there, almost like being in you go into a trance in a way when you play music. But you also go into a trance in a way when you draw.
It's true.
Same thing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's exactly the same thing.
So so did you have you said you had a music mentor. Did you have an art mentor?
You mean like one-on-one?
Yeah, or somebody that said, "Oh, hey kid, this is how you use the CompuGraphic. This is how you do this. This is how you do that." When you started working in a newspaper, it's very much like an old craftsman kind of. You got these old guys that know how to do stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No, I was shoved into the deep end of the pool. Okay, here, do graphics, and I didn't know what column widths were. I'd never heard the word pica before. I didn't know what lead was, or what a locator map meant. They just expected me to know, so I pretended that I did. And that's how I learned.
So you would not do it, and they go, "Hey, you forgot to put that thing there," and you're like, "Oh, okay, that's that thing I got to put there."
Your registration dots down and things like that. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So obviously, when computer came along, it was a lifesaver. There was a guy who was like the head tech wizard guy, and when they got the first Macs at this paper, the journal newspapers, they were owned by the Army Times Publishing Company. So they put out like these 5 daily papers in the wake of the Washington Star going out of business. And they thought that would be a gap they could fill. So their various counties surrounding DC had their own paper. And there was one tech guy that, said, come to see me, and he showed me, he set me up with a Mac, and he said, this is a mouse, and don't worry, you'll never run out of canvas, you'll never run out of paper space, you can scroll as much as you want, just go crazy. And I taught myself, and I still draw everything with a mouse to this day.
Wow.
Because that's all there was back then. I think I change horses. It's been working for me so long.
Have people tried to put a stylus in your hand and go, it'd be so much easier, Marty, if you just
At Pixar, nobody drew with a mouse except me, and I said, okay, give me a stylus, a tablet, I'll give it a shot. I lasted like half an hour before I got so frustrated. I said, here, take it back.
Wow. That's
really interesting, because I hear that I don't know if it's still true, but I know for a long time Adam Hughes still drew with a mouse.
Is that right?
That's what I heard. Yeah.
I do still know how to use a pencil. I do sketch some things and scan them, but yeah, it's most of the work's done with a mouse. And
so you learned about typography and all that from the newspaper job?
No. That's one of the reasons I got the job, is because I was fascinated with type. Since I was a kid, I painted watercolors. I still have some of the watercolors. I painted my favorite actors. I haven't even gotten to movies yet, which are gigantic influence on me. But I did paintings of Robert Mitchum, Peter Lorre, Vincent Price. I still have a couple of them. Alan Ladd, and developed a logo for each one and drew it on. And that's all the only samples I had when I went to interview for the gig. And the guy said, looks like you're really interested in type. And he started teaching me the names of the typefaces. He was the art director at that time of that group of newspapers. But yeah, I was into logos and type even before I started in journalism.
That's interesting, because I wonder if maybe that came out of your love of those, because DC had great lettering, Gaspar Saladino and all those guys could just do just amazing typefaces. They had better lettering than Marvel. Marvel had good lettering, but DC always had great lettering.
Well, I think the early Marvels, like Stan would say, Saul Brodsky, get quick, do a logo for this book. Get the Fantastic Four logo, the Avengers logo, which became this permanent thing in our minds. And now, I wouldn't have anything else. I hated when Marvel introduced that frame on the covers in the early 70s. And it's, why would you do that? I'd rather have a Saul Brodsky hand-drawn logo on there anytime. But that's just me. That I have to admit that when I started playing music more seriously, when it was a full-time thing, I lost touch with the comics that were coming out in the 70s and 80s. I barely saw them. Just very few could I pick up. And I'm not really sure why. I guess I became like your brother. Well, finally, one thing overtook the other on a permanent basis.
Now, when you started buying, when did you start, getting the love with comics again? What year?
Oh. I think there was a time, I can remember playing a gig in Charlottesville, Virginia, and having to stay the night in this crappy motel. And there was a drugstore nearby, and I bought, I don't know what comic it was. It was a Marvel comic. It was like 1981 or something. And, perfectly well drawn, beautifully colored with, great restraint and taste, and just foreign to me. It's completely foreign to me. That's what happened while I was gone, because the subject matter was just dismal. I mean, and if that's your thing, cool, there's a place for that, and there's a place for plain old heroics. Guys with superheroes with hang-ups and complaints and stuff. But this was just like so over the top. I don't remember what it was, but I just remember being flummoxed by what I was looking at. I wish I could remember what the title was. And if that's what was hip at the time, cool. But I felt just lost.
So was it just such a different aesthetic than what you had, grown up with, that
Yeah,
you just weren't, you just wasn't connecting to it?
Yeah, I'm not saying it was good, or I'm not saying
Right.
it was bad, or if there was an audience for it or not. I didn't
Right.
know. I just knew it was just so different. It was like,
It's like
comparison. This is like trying to learn a new language.
it's like coming out of jail and you had fresh clothes on when you went in. Now everybody's wearing something else.
So you're in journalism, and now this is part where I know this is where I kind of meet you. You're going from the local newspapers, and now you're working at USA Today. You've taken that portfolio and landed at what might be the biggest newspaper, certainly the most widely circulated newspaper.
I'll tell you what happened. I was working at the Journal, and the editor was one of those people who had worked at the Washington Star, and she worked there with Richard Curtis, who Steve knows who that is. He was the art director at USA Today. And she said, well, you should call him. And, maybe I'll let you come by and critique your portfolio. And he wouldn't give me the time of day. And one night I was watching the news with my brother, and they did a segment on the 5th anniversary of USA Today, and they quickly showed Richard Curtis. And I said, see that guy? He's going to want me someday. The next day, they called.
What?
Yeah, so we saw some graphics in the Prince George's Journal. Looked like you might have done that with a computer. Is that right? And they desperately needed somebody to work part-time there, so that's what I did. And went from there. I was only part-time there, and I got offered a gig as the art director of this same newspaper group. So I was art director of 5 weekly tabloids and 1 monthly Slick magazine. Man, talking about having to please a lot of people. That was the acid test. 6 editors who, of course, all knew better than you, and they did, but hey, you hired me because you wanted something different. Now, don't complain about it. Just let me. So that was a strange interlude. But getting back to the original question, I feel like I'm stumbling all over the place here. I didn't get a nap in today, so
You're good.
I'm losing it. When did I reestablish my love with comics was the question, I think.
Yeah.
And it's because I just happened by accident upon a comic shop in Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Mhm.
I was playing gigs down there too. I said, it's all a comic shop, you know. Told my wife, let's drive down there and see, you know, they have antique shops and stuff. Went in this comic shop where stuff was just piled everywhere. And, you know, it was like heaven, you know, just digging through stuff. I got an Avengers #3 for like $10. In good shape, too. I mean, if I had it now, I could buy a speedboat, you know.
Right.
But, you know, back then, all kinds of stuff I found. And I started telling my wife, you know, there was this really cool superhero. My favorite costume, it was this guy called Black Bolt. I said, and then I looked around at a more modern comic shop. I said, wait a minute, other people remember this stuff? Other people know who the Human Torch was? Yeah, I thought, you know, for the last 10 years, I was the only one still carrying the torch for the Inhumans, you know. And it turns out other people knew about it. And it just kind of grew from there. I started, in between doing my infographics, I started trying to draw superheroes on the computer, which wasn't easy with Super Paint or, you know, Mac Draw version 1. That wasn't easy. But I kept at it and, you know, swiping poses from Kirby, which of course I still do. And everybody does, whether you realize it or not. And thank God they started putting out anthologies, compilations, and hardback and stuff, you know. But then I gave in. I thought, you know, told my wife, sorry, Patty, I'm going to start buying back all the comics that I used to have. Part of my problem was I was too nice when I was a kid, because we had there was a cardboard box that I think a television came in. It was that size, and it was filled with my comics. Marvel comics, filled to the brim with Sergeant Rock and War of the Time Forgotten, all that. And my aunt was coming out of the hospital, and she liked comic books. She said, can I borrow some of your comic books to read while I'm recuperating? I said, yeah, sure. I loaned her the box. A month later, where are my comics? Threw them away. I read them. I mean, this big, filled with comics. I had everything. I bought Stat Sack on a regular basis. I love them. I love Stat Sack. So
I bought Mike a giant stack of Sad Sack magazines. They were great.
They're cool. It's like, I don't know. I like stuff like that, where it's just a very consistent product and the humor is goofy and I don't have to think.
You can turn your brain off, right? Yeah.
Well, we have some artwork that you've kindly shared with us. We're going to put on the screen, but I want to also, before we gets too late, I want to jump to Pixar, because that was a big switch from you. You were over you were on the East Coast, working in newspapers, working online, and then huge leap. I think I thought of it as a huge leap.
Yeah, it kind of was.
Yeah, to the West Coast and Pixar. Do you want to talk about that jump?
Let's see. I guess there was a pretty bad recession going on, coupled with the fact that my dad died, an uncle died, and then my dog died. I think a change of scene is in order. And I was trying to, you know, get as much freelance work as I could, and they weren't paying a whole lot at that time. I had a rep that got me some pretty good gigs, but and I somehow got on this mailing list where they sent out listings, not monster.com, something like that. And attached to one of these was just, you know, your typical classified ad, Pixar was looking for a graphic artist. And so I sent my stuff in, and they called, and hey, we'll fly you out here. Come on out. You meet with all the art directors and all that. And, in all modesty, I was the only one chosen unanimously to get the gig. The only time they ever hired an artist where everybody agreed that, you know, get this guy fast, because they were running behind on. I got there at the tail end of Up, and they were trying to crank through Toy Story 3, and they really needed somebody who was pretty fast. And I was, and that's not a boast. I produce art fast because I'm like a shark. And if I stop moving, I get really depressed. And I'm not kidding. That's true. If I'm not, I don't, you know how Joe Kubert always said, I want a project going out the door, I want a project on the board, and I want a project coming in the door at all times. And now I have to impose that on myself, granted, but yeah, I really do. I get depressed unless I'm chugging away on some project. Anyway, so one of the art directors at Pixar really took a shine to me. He looked at my stuff and said, "You never see anybody who can draw really good who's also really good with type." And that was like the greatest compliment, because I mean, that was my background. I didn't think it was that special, but day one, when I walked in the art department and looked around the stuff that was hanging on the wall, I was like, these people are half my age and twice as good. So you got to up your game now. And it was unbelievable. I shared an office with a young lady who was, she probably was like half my age. And she asked me, would you look at my portfolio and tell me if it's any good? I was like, what? Are you kidding? This is like, you know, full color paintings of Wally's anatomy expanded and, you know, exploded and expanded in diagrams. And then on top of that, she had done, she got a feather quill pen and done Chinese calligraphy for a scene in a movie. And I'm like, no, I can't critique your portfolio. Here, why don't you look at mine and tell me what I'm wrong? This is kid, you know? And she was a sweetheart and deserved a lot more credit. But she was just so shy. And that wasn't my problem. I did find that my sense of humor there didn't go over like it did in other workplaces. Unbridled sarcasm didn't really play that well.
Did you have to? Do you often have to go to bat for your work, or was it just more like?
No.
That's great.
No, the one director, the Norman Saunders guy I was telling you about, who directed Toy Story 3. It was like, you know, the art reviews were a big deal. You know, oh, you're gonna have the work pinned up just right, and then the director comes in with his entourage, and everybody else stands there and, you know, waits for him to go through, and it was like everything on mine that was pinned up there. He says, "Okay, that's approved." And everything else had like hundreds of changes to it. Of course, mine were graphics and type mostly, and the others were, you know, character designs and stuff like that, which of course takes a lot more nuance.
So what kind of graphics are you doing? Like posters or drawings or lettering on boxes or?
Yes.
Yes.
I understand there was a scene. Was it Toy Story where they're climbing through a vending machine and like every candy wrapper, every button,
my wife's name is on one of the wrappers.
Like in Big Hero 6, they're going through like a city, and every neon sign, everything that's lit up came out of your computer, came out of like your mouse clicks.
I think it was close to 400 graphics.
Wow.
And then for some reason, because it was, I don't understand why, but for some reason there were certain Japanese signs that wouldn't play in China. 200 of them had to be done over in China-friendly wording or something like that. That in Ethiopia, where the
So how did they work because you don't speak Japanese or Chinese, so did they give you the type and then you
yes.
have to figure out how to make it look good in Japanese or Chinese or?
There was only one font that you were allowed to use. Because for some reason, these specific Japanese different fonts, you got katakana and hiragana, which are two different alphabets. And for some reason, these fonts cost a fortune. So there was only one, and they would email me the translations, and I just copied and pasted, and that was how the translations got done. And there's also there at Pixar, there's dynamite artist. He's not there anymore. Dice Satsuki started with, he and Robert Kondo, two friends of mine, started a studio, excuse me, of their own. But he was very, very kindly came in and made sure the grammar was correct on the Japanese signs and whatnot. You know, look up his work, man.
I think I've heard of him. I've heard of those guys. Yeah,
he's a genius with color. Check out their animated short they did called "The Dam Keeper."
Mm-hmm.
The Dam Keeper.
You know that one?
Yeah, I think I've seen that. Yeah.
It's beautiful lighting and color like I've never seen. He's married to oh God, I'm drawing a blank. Oh God, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a total blank. Studio Ghibli.
Miyazaki.
Yes, I'm so sorry. I was trying to come up with his first name. He's married to his niece, I think. Something like that.
That's pretty.
Well, I'm gonna put on the screen here some of the work that you mentioned that you can't stop working, and you just creating work for yourself, like creating projects for yourself. And I know that
you helped me compile this into book form, so I can shove it in publishers' faces. the thing to proviso, I should say, before you look at these, publishers have all shown interest in every one of these projects and then disappeared. The ghosting is outrageous. You know, are you interested or not? You know, just tell me.
and
anyway,
these and how do you describe these images? Posters of public domain characters, or
that was researching this stuff was the fun. You know, just going through Golden Age comic books, looking for characters that are public domain, and then just kind of going crazy with them and incorporating every influence I've ever had on them. There's Art Nouveau, and there's Deco, and there's wacky 50s stuff. And of course, lots of type treatments. It was a blast. Finding these characters were great fun.
That's gorgeous.
You're very kind. Thank you.
I love that shape that just then circles the whale. That's just crazy brilliant.
Alphonse Mucha, another guy everybody should be familiarized with.
Yeah.
Brilliant Art Nouveau designer and painter.
Marty,
When you started, go ahead, Jim.
Marty, can you tell us a little bit about your kind of digital process, or is this all kind of like line drawn and then you're scanning and I don't know, I feel like some Illustrator in here? Is this all? That's all you?
This is all Illustrator, yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the figures are sketched first.
Uh-huh.
Just reference galore. I frankly hate doing the drawing. I love doing the designing.
Yeah.
Just tried to find a style where the rendering of muscles and wrinkles and hair and everything was highly stylized, because
Yeah.
I'm never going to be able to render anatomy and drapery and everything like Ern Hogarth or somebody like that.
I've always said that anybody that's great at Illustrator is like a sorcerer of some sort.
Should have seen me in Super Paint.
Hey, Marty, we have a question from our good buddy Scott Sava, who I saw last weekend in Chicago. Hey, Scott, are you exclusively digital now, Marty, or do you still work traditionally from time to time?
Pretty much digitally, exclusively.
Okay.
I used to do watercolor. I used to do a lot of drawing and pen and ink, brush. But I think I've lost that facility over the years.
Mm.
This is all on a Mac using a mouse.
Yeah.
Amazing. And you assure us that these are real characters, because I know I saw like it was Gar Algon or something like that.
Yeah, he was only in one comic, but yeah.
Oh, well, there's Lion Man. Yeah.
Okay, well, that one you've heard of.
Yeah.
Airboy, of course.
Yeah.
Everybody does him, but I tried to make him look like an actual boy. Everybody else draws him gritting his teeth, firing a Tommy gun. So I just wanted something that looked boyish.
That's great.
So when you started studying design and lettering principles, who were there books or artists that you looked at as like your school, so to speak? Like Jack Kirby always says, one man can be a school for another. So you mentioned Muka, and I know that they were also very influenced by the Japanese woodblock printers. Learning letter forms. How did you go about, educating yourself that way?
Boy, that's a broad question. Well, you should never stop learning.
True.
Like that. I don't. It's kind of like playing the guitar. T-Bone Walker plays the lick this way. Well, wait a minute. He learned it from this guy. What does he play like? No, wait a minute. That song goes back further than that, and it's kind of the same way. You saw the Fillmore posters. Tonight the Ball Butterfield Blues Band with Albert King and this outrageous Art Nouveau type. So, okay, what came before that? What came before that? So it's like the school is like working backwards, and the best way to learn is stealing. I'm sure you've seen Kirby. Jack Kirby said, "Steal from the best."
Oh yeah.
There's some film of some panel, and he says, "If you like a way a guy draws a hand, take that hand."
Marty, there's another question from our good buddy W.S. Weist. Hello, Bill. So, okay, just let me get this straight. You're doing all of this on a Mac with a mouse using Illustrator and Photoshop or some other program? Are we missing a piece here?
This is all Illustrator.
It's all Illustrator, no Photoshop.
All Illustrator, yeah. Very little Photoshop. Because now Illustrator has a lot of the same layer and filter and transparencies and whatnot that Photoshop also does. And every time they come out with a new version of Photoshop, it had this. I open it up and there's so many gewgaws and knobs and switches and I only use it for like two things: brightness and contrast. That's it. You can keep all that other stuff. I don't.
Yeah, I feel that. These are fantastic. There's another question in the chat, uh, Marty, which goes back a little bit to your musicianship.
Uh-huh.
Melissa 19F, hello Melissa, says, "Hey there, sorry if this was already asked. I read that Marty is also a blues singer and guitarist. Does his musical talent ever inspire his work as a cartoonist?"
Yes, I did. At one time, I did a series of kind of not quite caricatures. We'll call them distorted portraits of some of my favorite blues guys, and uh, I'll do things like that every once in a while. And for a lot of gigs, I don't know if this counts. Design posters.
Mm-hmm.
I do some in the Fillmore style. It's all a way of learning. You're in the deep end of the pool, so start paddling. Or I love the hot rod stuff from the '60s.
Mm-hmm.
Big Daddy Roth and Ed
Right.
Campbell and the Weirdos and all that stuff. So yeah, exactly. The gear shift. Exactly. I did tons of posters like that. I did a book of those that I just put out myself and took to Comic-Con. But
Mm-hmm.
those are a big influence on me. So, and those are all come from that same kind of hipster vibe.
Mm-hmm.
If that make any sense? Is that even a sentence?
No, I get it.
Yeah, well, you see the overlap. Like I said, the Fillmore type posters and
Yeah.
the R&B posters of the '60s. Sam Cooke, the Platters, the Soul Stirrers, and it just would be like a big explosion burst with Sam Cooke's head cut out, stuck on it, and
Mm-hmm.
that kind of stuff. I would do occasionally a poster like that.
Our next question is from our good friend all the way from Australia, which it's tomorrow in Australia, Marty. We live in the future, in the past at the same time. Sean Shai says, with how much work you do, how do you prevent injury or repetitive stress injuries in your drawing hand?
I have had that, actually. Usually a bottle of Advil a day will do the trick. No, I have had that problem, and I've used a wrist brace from time to time. But knock wood, I haven't really had serious problems with that. I am when I draw, I am left-handed. When I use the mouse, I'm right-handed.
Wow.
And I badly injured my left elbow a few years back, and had to keep getting steroid shots every 3 months or so. But it like magically healed on its own, so I could go back to drawing again. But like I said, I sketch everything. I'm left-handed with everything except the mouse, and that's only because the guy that showed me how to use the computer said, "Here," and he put the mouse down on my right-hand side. So,
I mean, there was a moment where mice were kind of like right-handed tools, right? And then they started to make them like ambidextrous later.
yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
And back then, there was an undeclared war between Macs and PCs.
Yeah.
Every artist used a Mac, and every nerd used a PC. Back then, nothing. I'm not criticizing you PC people now, but yeah, that was a big deal.
Dude, you got to get a Dell.
Oh, you know what I was going to ask you? Do you remember? I guess this was in the '90s, early 2000s. You said you were from Maryland. There was a company called House. They did type and everything. Yeah. Did you know those at all?
Personally?
Yeah, I didn't know.
No. But they did all the famous monsters type fonts and things.
Yeah. Then they seemed like they went kablooey or something.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, right. They used to do like the digital packages before anybody else was doing it. Yeah, I remember that.
Like really cool fonts and things like. So when you were doing the font stuff for Pixar, they had to get the license, right, of the font to put in the movie, right?
Yeah, but they had a bottomless well every font you could possibly think of.
Right. And did you create fonts for them? Custom fonts?
I'll tell you one thing. Here's a good story. Working on a movie for Disney, here I'm 3,000 miles away doing all the work, and I'm churning out all these graphics, and not even thinking that on quite a few of them I'm using free fonts that I've collected over the years. And somebody in legal had to mention that. And I had to go back through every font and track down the link to where I got it from, when, what year, and then send that in. Oh no, you can't use that. No, somebody will know.
Wow.
So I had to go back and hand draw every letter on maybe 150 graphics, just so I wouldn't get thrown in jail. So.
Yeah, people don't really, kind of forget, but, the world is very litigious.
Yeah.
And Disney literally has a building of people that that's all they do is look for stuff.
I know. Oh, you wouldn't believe the vetting at Pixar and Disney. It's like I was had to produce dozens of books that sat in the background of a kindergarten scene, and you had to do everything: front cover, spine, back cover, author, make up an author's name, create a title, and I put names on there. Like one author, I put Elman Mickle. Now, Elman Mickle is the real name of Model T Slim, and somebody in legal emailing, you cannot use Elman Mickle.
Amazing.
What? Well, I said to a friend of mine. He said, well, all they need is Google. They could find Elman Mickle. But it just...
What kind of job would that be there to go through? Like, okay, here's all the books in scene, 37, and you got to go through and look at every single name. Oh my God.
A lot of stuff to go through.
You went to Harvard for that?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, Marty, with that, I have a couple quick questions. So, when you're having to go through the font library, did you have a font book? Did somebody, some intern, make a giant 3-ring binder of all the fonts and you could go through the pages, or you had to do a lot of scrolling to find them? How were they archived? And
A little of both, but they had every monotype font, every linotype font, every Adobe font, every you name it. And they had everything. And yes, they did have a book.
Mm-hmm.
But after you get in a groove, you have a group of 20 that you rely on for different things. This is what they'd use in a newspaper headline, and this is what might turn up on a deck of cards, or it's just something you get used to. I mean, for my personal stuff, I do it by decade. This is a font they'd use in the 30s. Oh, this one has the spirit of the 50s, and that's important, I think.
Yeah.
To recognize the various eras and the art styles that developed during those times. I always think when it comes to American art styles, there seems to be a revolution every time there's a World's Fair. It's like, the Chicago Exposition, Columbian World Exposition, people started seeing Art Nouveau designs for the first time. And the 39 World's Fair was a gigantic thing, and people recognized what Deco was. So in the 33 Century of Progress in Chicago, 1933, the general public got hip to what Art Deco was. And I went to the 64 World's Fair, and I didn't know it. That's when I first saw one of my all-time favorite artists, Bob Peak. He had done tons of material for the New York World's Fair. Also, guys like Leroy Neiman, that kind of style, that kind of slapping, loose brushstroke, not abstract kind of style. Anyway, yeah, I wish I'd been more aware in '64 because as you went in, I mean, like Ray Bradbury's voice reading some introductory essay on the future, and I don't know, World's Fairs used to be cool. They used to be very carefully thought out. I mean, did they still have them?
I don't know.
I
don't think so. No.
Well, Marty, we're running out of runway here, sir. I don't know. No. I don't know where the night is going. And as I say every week, where does the time go?
Where did
the time melts when we're having fun. I would love if you would be interested to do a part 2 at some time in the near future. I don't know if you've had enough of our 3 heads. You'd like to come back and bless our chat with some more conversation.
It's beyond me why you would want to put up with me again.
Well,
I'll try to speak in complete sentences.
No, you were great. And I will say that I was monitoring our chat, and the chat was dead silent. And that is a good thing. That means they're listening. That's a good thing. They're not blah, 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 blah. They're like they're watching everything that comes out of your mouth. So good on you, sir.
Well, Steve, what's our booth number at Baltimore Comic Con?
I don't know.
I can steer people to. I'm not, everybody's do a Kickstarter, do a GoFundMe, raise money for. I just don't want to. I'm old. You just please let me draw and let. Steve is like human dynamo. Here, let me invent a new way to broadcast comic strips. Just one last bit of housekeeping you can help me with. I want to spread the word because over the years it's become a pet peeve of mine. It's Conan the Barbarian, not Conan.
Conan.
Marty Howard researched old Gaelic names to find one that resonated. It's not Arthur Conan Doyle. And it's not my favorite comedian, Conan O'Brien. You remember those great paperback covers by Frank Frazetta? Conan.
So it's always been Conan. That's great. So the tall
red. Years old, we knew it was Conan. I don't know. Okay.
I love it.
Get off my lawn. Crazy kids with the
that's fantastic. Marty, I need more of this, Marty. We can't
Marty Baumann. Marty Baumann, thank you for being here.
There you go.
That's right. No, we're going to say nice things about you. We're going to say nice things.
The music playing me off.
No, we're not going to do that yet. We're going to say some nice things, and we're going to put our hands on the screen, and then we're going to go.
All right. Where do I go now?
Oh, well, just hang out.
Oh, okay.
Steve Conley, do you have any last words for our guests tonight?
Only the tip of the iceberg here. We didn't talk about Mystery Science Theater, Sir Paul McCartney. We're going to talk about Creator Kid. There's just so much that Marty's done. Check out his website. Follow the links. He's amazing, and I just can't say enough good things about the man.
I love it.
Steve's an inveterate liar.
I love it. Well, Marty, thank you so much for being on. Like I said, we'd love to have you back. We'll have to have you on soon. And for our people that are watching, we don't know what we're doing next week, but you'll be the first to know when we figure that out.
Like Sergeant Rock.
That's right. So as we like to do here on our way out the door, we like to pay homage to our patron saint of Pencil to Pencil, the Sorcerer Supreme, Dr. Paulie Walnuts, who says, Hey, Mike, Nostradamus predicted this. He predicted that we're going to go into an uncertain future, but we will be okay if we already get ready. if we make sure we wash our Kirby hands. Let's put some Kirby hands up. Oh, that's a good Kirby hand. Yeah, there it is.
The lighting on that.
Yeah, we get you flat.
I can do the Ditko hands if you
There
want.
you go.
There you go. I love it. All right, you guys have a great night. Thanks so much.